the bounty hunters. Divine Leader Thread, we have received communication from the Chainbreaker, one of her women says, and Thread nods for her to continue. They have reached a high point in their investigations into an old Mordennon mystery and would like the fleet to be aware that this old threat may respond as they attempt rescue and retrieval from its power. What old mystery? The Shimmering Sands Mystery, Divine Leader, a strange event when a sandstorm would strike a town or village that lacks groundwater and then leave behind shining sands. Then a day later, every adult and strip of metal vanishes. Until recently, the only thing that was known is that it exclusively struck permanent settlements that were built away from the sources of water upon Mordennon. I see. And what progress have they made? They have provoked a Shimmering Sands event, and it has taken away a trinity of beacons they are using even now to track down to where things are being stolen to. And why has no one done similar in the past? The events began when Mordennon was still a planetary penitentiary, by the time anyone actually considered the world worthy of proper defense and care. The event was understood sufficiently that any further events would be considered more the fault of the victims struck by it than anything else. The fact that there have been few, if any, events from that point also lends credence to it. It had all the hallmarks of a natural disaster that was properly understood and avoided. Think of it more akin to not building in a floodplain or away from a stormy coastal region. If you build there anyways, it's not so much a tragedy as a natural consequence when your home is damaged or destroyed. I see. Have they explained why this mystery attracted their attention? No, my Divine Leader, they have not. However, if I were to guess, I would think that they have decided that the old bounty, which is still valid, would have drawn their attention. They are bounty hunters, after all. That they are. But they also have state funding from the Undaunted. They're highly unlikely to be desperate for funds, which means something else motivates them when they move. Divine Leader Thread states, isn't that a good thing? To have motivation and aspiration beyond mere coin? It most certainly is for the Lablon Empire and its peoples, but for strangers, it makes them unpredictable. They may not share our values and will act according to their own codes. Codes we do not know, so they must be watched, just in case. Divine Leader Thread reminds her, you do not trust them, despite them fulfilling their contract to near perfection? They have sworn different oaths to different masters. I cannot trust them, not fully. I can trust them to act in their best interests and those of their own people, but not to and of our own. I see. Should we have a team on alert in case they decide to do something? Yes. However, ensure that the team is also ready to help them. Just because they are not as we are does not mean they are a foe. It simply means they can be a foe. Are and can are very different things and must both be considered and prepared for, she says in her underling nods. Very good. Now is there more? Only that the investigations are being led by trainee Schmidt. Which one is that? The scarred Nagasha boy, my Divine Leader. Ah, and so it all falls into place. Either through the child's own initiative or at their encouragement, young Schmidt has worked at and begun to solve an old mystery. A less dangerous but still productive use of the boy's time that even without results would encourage wise thought and careful consideration. In other words, the boy is being raised well, and Mordennon, and by extension the Lablon Empire, profits for it. And so what are your orders, Divine Leader? The same as before, have a team on standby in case they are needed to either deal with or assist the Chainbreakers. At once, Amity, she says with a short bow before leaving for her station. As she goes, Thread considers things slightly, her reinforced and serrated claws brushing at cheek fur and thought. Humans have a provable knack for trouble, but does it extend to those exposed to humans as well? Perhaps she will see. So the storm and resulting sand are just markers? Slytherin asks as he finally deciphers the first bit of information. It makes sense, but what's hitting the recall button? The information on that had come out in a massive lump sum of data that was tied up in the kind of knot that made the ancestors of the Orhanas look straightforward and easy to decipher, and not as the confusing mess of tails and tentacles they actually were. It was a teleport, but it was so much more than that. It was like 100 small axiom effects all going off at once with the kind of precision you'd need a computer for. Maybe an adept of synthetic origin could pull something like that. But why would a synth kidnap people en masse? After all, there were plenty of ore veins over the planet and areas with junk to metal that was left alone. So why weren't they hit by the shimmering sand events? The answer is that none of them had people living in them, which means that the main target is people. The metal is just gravy. Important, but not necessary. Synthetic fingers tap a chin with a scar going clean through it and rub the line between the healthy skin and toughened material. If I can just figure out what all this excess axiom data is, I'll have a big answer. This is a huge piece of the puzzle. I know it. He stares at the screen for another 10 minutes before coming to a decision. One that has him slither back a few feet and begin concentrating on the formula on screen. The information out of the beacons included many thousands of smaller but complete axiom formula. So he was going to run through a few of them and see what they did. Okay, frequency, density, movement speed and pattern, direction, layer, gah! Slytherin whispers things out before flinching as he suddenly feels a lot of something. He frowns and thinks before a bit of feedback from his fingers causes him to look at his prosthetics. Parts of the prosthetic fingers have been shifted to the side, as if the metal had gone runny and moved ever so slightly to the right. Huh, he notes as he opens and closes the fingers a few times. A bit of concern rocks him, and he pulls out his prosthetic eye and ups the distance on the reception. He then holds it behind his head and pulls his hair away from the small control device. It's been damaged by the axiom effect, too. He then brings the eye in front of his face and looks at it. Damaged as well. Thankfully, it's all superficial and will easily buff out, but still damaged. That's concerning. All right, so that part of the code affects metal. It tries to move it. He notes as he slots his eye back into its proper place. Then it hits him. It's sorting! This huge mess of axiom code is a recall and sort function. He slithers back up to the screen and starts putting in some basic assumptions to sort the code. Code parts that have similar patterns to the one that tried to drag the metal out of him are going to be classified as sorting, and that still leaves over 2/3 of the sheer mass of data. The other 2/3 are clearly different from each other, but also clearly consistent. So if 1/3 is sorting, I can assume another third is actually grabbing things. What's the last third about? If it's already taken and sorted, what more is needed? Well, using it most likely, but for what? A weapon, maybe? All right, time to do this the smart way. I'm going to grab some metal. He mutters to himself and slithers out of the testing room before returning 5 minutes later with some scrap metal from the nearest gunsmithing lab. He piles it all on a small table and has the computer project one of the final thirds of the equation. He holds his hands over the small pile the size of his head and slowly goes through the sequence. The axiom moves, the metal shifts and reconfigures itself into... The fuck? Slytherin picks up the strange object that's been created from the metal and he blinks. He has no idea what he's looking at. His first instinct says a weapon, but it's nowhere near sharp enough or pointed enough. Furthermore, it's hollow inside. So is it a chunk of armor? If so, what's it meant to armor? It's a reinforced tube closed off at one end with a segment designed to shift, but only a little bit, like a joint. It's also very vaguely familiar, in the sense that if you punch something hard enough to leave a mark, it's a vaguely familiar pattern to your fist. Wait, this doesn't make sense. I'm still getting a signal from the beacons. If the third part of the effect just changes things into some kind of bug armor, oh shit, this is armor for the tip of an insect's leg. Well, it still doesn't make any damn sense. If everything being grabbed by this effect is sent into the hopper to make bug armor, then why and how the hell am I still getting a... Right, they're giving off a signal, so it would have ended up sorted as people and not metal. Right. And why does it need bug armor? This whole thing is getting more schizophrenic by the minute. He demands out loud after a few moments of just thinking in circles. Getting more what by the minute? The twangy voice of Sally asks as the gunslinger walks in. She's got a new outfit on and clearly has been inspired by Air Force's Serape. Wait, the hell is that thing? This is what the shimmering sands does to metal, Slytherin says, picking up the piece of armor and tossing it at her. She catches it with ease and looks at it oddly. What is this? Some kind of finger armor for giants? Sally asks, examining the strange metal before she clearly identifies exactly where it's supposed to go and what it does. Apparently, I don't know. I've been cracking the code of the data that the beacons have sent. It's in 3 huge chunks. First moves things, I think. Middle one seems to sort stuff, and the last part reshapes them. That right there is what happens when I focus the last bit onto a small pile of scrap. Well, ain't that the dangerous thing? Sally asked before tossing the armor piece back. If the whole Shimmering Sands mess is about making armor and weapons, then why haven't any of it been seen? The whole point of armor and weapons is to use it after all. The hell should I know? I'm still working on this mess bit by bit, Slytherin asks after catching the armor. He drops it on the table next to him. Well, y'all are the one cracking an ancient mystery open like a nut under a hammer. I figured y'all just need to ask the right questions at this point. I'm not that smart, just really persistent in getting answers. Well then, let's go get 'em, she says, and he blinks before considering. Where's your sister? I figured you'd be outright glued to her after her rescue. She's going gaga over the engines of this ship, and I had to get out of there before I went cross-eyed with all the fancy talk she was throwing around and getting thrown back at her by that big metal snake lady. Oh, Mama Power Coil. Yeah, she's the type to explain things all over the place. She likes to teach, and there's little on any topic that she can't learn in seconds. Yeah, now I ain't no dummy, but I know when I'm in and when I'm out of my wheelhouse in figuring out the exact axiom resonation frequency tolerances of the engine is not in it, Sally says, and Slytherin shrugs. Fair enough. The way I'm doing all this is that whenever I get a new chunk of information, I make a point of untangling as best as I can before moving on to the next part and getting more information. This is a weird, wacky, and powerful axiom effect going on. Running face first is a good way of getting your face taken off. I'll leave it to those with experience in those there sort of things, Sally says. Or I can shove in someone who's got easy access to a helmet first. That works too. Slytherin mocks right back and she snorts. So if y'all know what the whole hoo-ha about the Shimmering Sands is about, then what's the next step? Next step is we pray open the path to wherever it leads us and send in something to take a look around. Slytherin says. Not me, Sally states. I was thinking more a drone, so if things get literally cut off, no one's down a body part. Good plan.